Welcome to Midnight Murmurs, your gateway to enchanting sleep stories. Join us on an extraordinary journey through the mystical world of Rise of the Sakura Blade, the captivating beginning of our epic 18-book series. Uncover the secrets of the ancient sword, embrace the power of courage, and drift into a peaceful slumber. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let your dreams take flight with Midnight Murmurs. Chapter 1: Awakening. Haruka Nakamura gingerly made his way through the dense underbrush as the woodland was enveloped in an unsettling hush. When she followed the rumors of a long-forgotten legend, a story handed down through the years that promised untapped power and hidden knowledge, her pulse hammered in her chest. She had spent days looking for the secret cave that held the fabled Sakura blade, guided by an enigmatic map engraved on a frayed piece of parchment. Suddenly, between the tall branches, she came across a little opening. As Haruka finally managed to slip through the narrow opening and into the dimly illuminated cavern, her breath seized in her throat. Both the subtle perfume of cherry blossoms and the smell of moist ground were pervasive in the air. It was believed that the Sakura blade, which was infused with the very essence of nature itself, was created from the petals of these same blooms. At the center of the cave, a stone pedestal with lovely cherry flower carvings caught her attention. The Sakura blade, the reason for her travel, was lying on top of it. Haruka's eyes widened in a mixture of fear and excitement. She extended her quivering hands and encircled the hilt with her fingers. She experienced an intense power rush that heightened her senses. It appeared as though the blade itself was whispering ages-old knowledge into her own soul. Visions of a battle-hardened samurai standing strong against swarms of adversaries, the whirling dance of cherry blossom petals, and a world bursting with beauty and danger caused Haruka's heart to accelerate. As Haruka absorbed the essence of the Sakura sword, time appeared to slow down. That ignited something within her, a ferocious resolve, a need for knowledge, and a passion to defend people who couldn't protect themselves. The blade had chosen her, and she embraced the weight of its obligation. When Haruka emerged from the cave, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, she realized that her life would never be the same. The route she had gone upon was laden with problems, but she was ready to meet them head-on. With the Sakura blade in her possession, she determined to harness its power and use it for the greater good. Days stretched into weeks as Haruka searched out an isolated town, seeking the counsel of an ancient sensei who was known to be a master of swordsmanship. The sensei, called Takashi, decided to train her upon seeing the gleam of resolve in her eyes. Under his careful eye, Haruka delved into the delicate art of swordplay, polishing her talents with unrelenting determination. Over endless hours of practice, Haruka learned to move with elegance and accuracy, her body becoming an extension of the Sakura blade itself. Takashi stressed the significance of control and discipline, instilling in her the concept that genuine power resided not merely in wielding a sword, but in knowing one's own mind and soul. As weeks went into months, Haruka's friendship with Takashi grew. They would sit in the shade of a blossoming sakura tree, engaged in serious talks about life, honor, and the duty of power. Takashi related tales of earlier conflicts, of renowned warriors and their unflinching determination. Haruka took in every word, her need for information unquenchable. Meanwhile, rumors of the Sakura blade's existence began to spread. Whispers floated on the wind, reaching the ears of a ferocious warlord named Kurigane. Consumed by an insatiable craving for power, he decided to seize the sword and use its qualities for his malicious goals. Unknown to Haruka, Kurigane dispatched his henchmen, a band of mercenaries, to kidnap her and acquire the Sakura blade at whatever cost. Haruka's calm days with Takashi were going to be shattered by the impending menace of Kurigane and his mercenaries, who were desperate to steal the Sakura blade. Chapter 2: The First Challenge. Haruka stood in the courtyard of the ancient dojo, her gaze fixated on the person before her, Sensei Takashi, a seasoned warrior with a mane of silver hair and eyes that contained a lifetime of experience. His voice bore the weight of wisdom as he talked, bringing her through the foundations of swordsmanship. "Focus your thoughts, Haruka," Sensei Takashi advised, his voice echoing with power. "A sword is an extension of your spirit. Allow your body to move in sync with the blade." Haruka took a deep breath, steadying herself as she clutched the hilt of the Sakura blade. She amazed at the way it seemed to vibrate with vitality, as if it were alive in her hands. It responded to her touch, pulsing with force that coursed through her essence. Sensei Takashi showed each technique with elegance and accuracy, his feet flowing flawlessly, as though he were dancing with an imaginary partner. Haruka imitated his moves, her body gradually adjusting to the weight and balance of the blade. Each swing and parry felt more natural, as if she were tapping into a reservoir of ancient knowledge buried deep within her. Days turned into weeks, and Haruka's training intensified. Sensei Takashi pushed her to her limits, teaching her not only the physical aspects of combat, but also the mental discipline required to master the blade. They practiced in the early morning mist, the air crisp and cool against their skin. Haruka's muscles ached, but her determination burned brightly. During their breaks, Sensei Takashi regaled Haruka with tales of renowned warriors, each narrative portraying a vivid image of honor, sacrifice, and the tenacious spirit of the samurai. Haruka absorbed in these anecdotes, her eyes gleaming with wonder. The globe that had appeared so vast and uncharted was coming alive before her eyes, showing a tapestry of history and culture that reached back millennia. As Haruka's talents improved, so did her bond with the dojo and its occupants. She developed acquaintances with fellow students, Yukio, a quick-witted and nimble swordsman, and Aiko, a peaceful and enigmatic archer. Together, they exercised, sparred, and exchanged stories of their ambitions and aspirations. Sensei Takashi became more than simply a teacher, he became a mentor and a confidant. Under his instruction, Haruka acquired not just the skill of swordsmanship but also the necessity of balance and compassion. He taught knowledge, telling her that genuine power was not measured merely by one's sword arm, but by the nobility of one's spirit. One evening, as the setting sun threw a warm glow over the dojo, Haruka found herself alone with Sensei Takashi. The air was heavy with unspoken words, the weight of their shared trip overwhelming the space between them. She approached him, her words dripping with thanks. "Sensei Takashi, I cannot describe how much your counsel means to me," Haruka replied, her voice full with sincerity. I have discovered a part of myself that I never knew existed, and it is due of your lessons. Sensei Takashi's eyes twinkled with pride and devotion. Haruka, you have a rare gift, a fire within you that burns brighter than most. But remember, power alone is not enough. The greatest test rests not in the fights you win, but in the wars you choose not to fight. Their chat was interrupted by a ruckus at the dojo's entrance. A messenger came through the doors, his breath breathless and his eyes bright with fright. He conveyed news that disturbed the calm of their sanctuary. The warlord Kirigane's minions were closing in on their community. Sensei Takashi looked to Haruka with a serious gaze. It appears like the fights we choose not to fight have come to us. Are you ready, Haruka? Chapter 3: The Warlord's Threat. Word of the Sakura Blade's existence spread through the region like a terrifying omen, reaching the ears of the warlord Kirigane. His eyes glittered with a wicked longing as he envisioned the power the fabled blade could bring him. Desperate to acquire it, he deployed his merciless henchmen throughout the countryside, their single objective to catch Haruka and collect the famous weapon. News of the warlord's pursuit reached Haruka's ears, and her pulse sped with a mixture of terror and resolution. She realized she had to prepare for the approaching threat going her way. Seeking wisdom and allies, she proceeded on a trek to a nearby town famed for its skillful warriors and wise elders. Upon her arrival, Haruka was welcomed with apprehensive gazes and muttered whispers. The peasants had heard tales of the warlord's savagery and the havoc he left in his wake. Haruka's entrance sparked both hope and anxiety inside them. She sought out the village elder, an elderly woman named Obasin, famed for her knowledge and connection to ancient spirits. Obasin's cottage was at the fringes of the community, ornamented with symbols of protection and age-old relics. Haruka bowed politely before her, her voice calm but packed with desire. Obasin, I need your counsel. The warlord's minions are chasing me, and they desire the Sakura blade. Obasin's look conveyed a blend of anxiety and resolve. Child, the Sakura blade is a tremendous item that has the capacity to bring both salvation and devastation. It is vital that you comprehend its genuine purpose and handle its power with judgment. Haruka nodded, her eyes sparkling with resolve. I will do everything it takes to protect the sword and guarantee it is not utilized for nefarious reasons. Obasin's ancient hands clenched together, her voice calm yet loaded with caution. To wield the Sakura blade's true power, you must first seek the ancient spirits of the Forbidden Forest. They were formerly its guardians, entrusted with protecting its secrets. Only they can provide you the knowledge and advice needed to wield the sword successfully. Eager to prove herself worthy, Haruka headed forth towards the Forbidden Forest, a location talked about in legends, a land of exotic animals and old spirits. The forest's lush vegetation and eerie quiet embraced her with an aura of doom. She understood that the trek ahead would test not only her physical endurance, but also her mental fortitude. When Haruka traveled farther into the forest, shadows swirled about her, and the wind murmured things she could not interpret. She relied on her senses, honed through long hours of training to negotiate the perilous terrain. Every step took her closer to the center of the forest, where the ghosts were fabled to live. Hours stretched into days, and Haruka's willpower remained immovable. She withstood hunger and exhaustion, moving forward until she reached a holy forest drenched in ethereal light. A sensation of wonder flooded over her as she entered the holy place, surrounded by towering trees and brilliant plants. It was then that the ghosts presented themselves, a gathering of ethereal people, their presence both soothing and scary. Haruka knelt before them, her voice full with devotion and resolve. "Ancient spirits, I seek your counsel. The Sakura blade has chosen me, and I am ready to accept its power. Please, help me on this journey." The spirit's ethereal voices merged, echoing across the woods. "Haruka Nakamura, your spirit flames with resilience and purity. We shall provide you the information and direction you need, but remember, with tremendous power comes great responsibility. The fate of the world is in your hands." And so, Haruka Nakamura bowed in devotion to the ancient spirits, grateful for their instruction and eager to go on his adventure with the Sakura blade. He realized that the responsibility of holding such power was immense, but he was determined to utilize it for the greater good. With the spirit's counsel and his own tenacity, he was ready to face whatever obstacles lie ahead. Chapter 4: The Forbidden Forest. Haruka stood at the edge of the forbidden forest, the air dense with a strange energy. The thick canopy above hid the sunshine, leaving a patchwork of shadows on the woodland floor. Each step seemed like a voyage into the unknown, as the murmurs of old spirits and the rustle of invisible animals filled the air. With resolve in her heart, Haruka took a deep breath and went forward, the soft crunch of leaves beneath her boots the only sound disturbing the quiet. She negotiated the meandering route, her senses attuned to every tiny alteration in the forest's rhythm. As she ventured deeper into the labyrinthine tangle of greenery, the weather got colder, and an eerie mist engulfed the forest, shrouding its mysteries. Haruka's grasp tightened on the hilt of the Sakura blade, seeking consolation and strength from its ancient power. Time lost its significance in the depths of the forest, where every step seemed to blur the border between fact and illusion. The woodland whispered secrets to Haruka, its voice a gentle breeze that stroked on her cheek. It pushed her to keep attentive, to show her merit to the ancient spirits that had guarded the Sakura blade. Then, a person formed in front of her, a ghostly guardian, its appearance transparent and ethereal. Its eyes, sparkling with knowledge, caught Haruka's gaze. "You want the knowledge of the ancients," it replied, its voice a soft echo. "But first, you must prove yourself." Haruka's pulse pumped with eagerness as the ghost took her deeper into the jungle. They arrived at a clearing where a series of challenges awaited her. The guardian described the nature of each trial, a test of bravery, resilience, and connectedness to the natural world. The first trial was a test of bravery. Haruka found herself standing before a large, twisted tree, its branches twisting and straining toward the sky. A feeling of gloom surrounds it. "Conquer your worries and rise," the guardian whispered, its voice disappearing into the wind. Summoning her inner power, Haruka took a step forward and began her ascension. On every rise, the branches seemed to move and curl, threatening to throw her off balance. Uncertainty came into her head, but she pushed it aside, focused on her determination. Inch by inch, she rose until she reached the top, where a spectacular panorama of the forest awaited her. The second challenge tested Haruka's resilience. She found herself in a field, surrounded by a swarm of ghostly fireflies. Their mild glow lighted the route ahead, but as Haruka proceeded, they multiplied and increased their light, generating a dazzling brilliance. She pressed forward, her eyes blinking against the glare, unwilling to be deterred. The third attempt asked for a connection to the natural world. Haruka stood by the brink of a serene lake, its surface like a mirror reflecting the moon's beautiful brightness. She knelt beside the river, dipping her hand, and felt the chilly embrace. In that instant, she comprehended the interconnectivity of all living things, the ebb and flow of life's energy. She let her mind drift, the ripples she caused melding with the peacefulness of the lake. Having finished the challenges, Haruka returned to the guardian, her eyes alight with newfound insight. "I have proven myself," she added, her voice firm. "Give me the guidance I desire." The guardian's ethereal form shimmered, its gaze brimming with approval. "Haruka Nakamura, you have exhibited bravery, resilience, and harmony with nature. You are ready to absorb the knowledge of the Sakura blade." The forest spoke in unison, the old spirits of the trees and animals reveling at Haruka's achievement. She closed her eyes, letting the energy of the forest rush through her. As she opened them again, the guardian had fled, leaving behind only a shimmering blade. Haruka stretched out and clutched the hilt, feeling a burst of strength flow through her. She understood that with this blade and the wisdom it housed, she could safeguard the natural world and all its creatures. Taking a deep breath, she turned and went off on her quest, ready to face any obstacle that may come her way. The woodland resonated with her footsteps, a song of hope and resolve propelling her onward. Haruka Nakamura was now a guardian of nature, a warrior for the equilibrium of the earth. Chapter 5: Betrayal. The moon hung high in the night sky, throwing an ethereal shine onto the city as Haruka made her way through the meandering passageways. Each step felt heavier than the last, weighed down by the recent revelation that had shattered her trust. A trusted ally had revealed their true allegiance, attempting to steal the Sakura blade, a betrayal that cut deeper than any blade ever could. Haruka's emotions seethed with a mix of rage and despair as she repeated the events in her memory. How could she have been so blind? The signs had been there, hidden beneath layers of false loyalty and camaraderie. But now, the truth lay bare before her, and she had no choice but to confront it head-on. She reached a secluded rooftop, a place where she often found solace in the chaotic world below. The wind whispered through the alley, carrying with it the scent of distant blossoms. She clutched the Sakura blade tightly, drawing strength from its ancient power as she prepared to face her betrayer. A silhouette emerged from the shadows, a figure she had once trusted implicitly. His name was Kaido, a skilled swordsman with whom Haruka had shared countless battles and secrets. His silver hair shimmered in the moonlight, a stark contrast to the darkness that consumed his eyes. "You! How could you?" Haruka's voice trembled with a mix of anger and hurt. "We battled side by side, and now you would turn on me?" Kaido's glare remained icy and uncompromising. "You were a means to an end, Haruka. The Sakura blade is far too powerful to be left in the hands of one person, even someone as honorable as you. With its power, I can shape the world to my will." Haruka's grip on the Sakura blade tightened, her knuckles turning white. "You've lost sight of everything we fought for. Honor, justice, they mean nothing to you now." A cruel smile crept across Kaido's face. "Foolish girl. The world is not as black and white as you believe. Power is what shapes reality. And I will wield that power with the Sakura blade." The tension in the air was palpable as the two warriors faced each other, the weight of their shared history hanging heavily between them. Haruka's mind raced, searching for a way to overcome the betrayal without succumbing to the darkness that threatened to consume her. "You don't understand, Kaido," she continued, her voice full with resolve. "The Sakura blade isn't designed to be controlled. It's designed to be preserved, to protect the innocent and keep the equilibrium of the planet." Kaido sneered, unsheathing his own blade, a weapon created in darkness and corrupted with the thirst for control. "You always were naive, Haruka. But now, it stops." When the clang of steel rang through the night, Haruka's training and instincts took control. She ducked and parried, her motions smooth and accurate. Each hit held the weight of her violated trust, her resolve unyielding. Their blades collided with a loud collision, sparks flying in a show of conflicting wills. Haruka's eyes connected with Kaido's, a mixture of resolve and disappointment in her look. "This isn't the road we were supposed to take," she said, her voice barely heard over the sounds of fighting. "There's still a possibility for atonement. Throw down your blade, Kaido." Kaido's eyes flashed with anxiety, his hold temporarily relaxing. But suddenly, a grim resolve fell over him, stiffening his face. "I've come too far to turn back now, Haruka. You may have chosen a different route, but this is mine. Our paths may never cross again, but know that I will always admire you as a fighter." At that, Kaido surged forward, his sword aimed for Haruka's heart. She met his onslaught straight on, their swords colliding once again in a last, definitive combat. When it was finished, Haruka stood victorious, her heart burdened with the weight of what had occurred. She had won the war, but at what cost? The loss of a friend and comrade, and the realization that their paths may never cross again. Yet she knew that she had made the correct choice, to follow her own path and ideals, just as Kaido had done. And so she stood there, silently respecting the memories of their friendship and the closeness they had once enjoyed. Chapter 6: The Final Battle. The battleground spread before Haruka, a barren landscape marred by the warlord's oppression. The air hummed with tension as she confronted her terrible antagonist, his presence casting a shadow over the area. The warlord stood towering and powerful, his armor glinting with malevolence, while his faithful followers surrounding him. Haruka's grip tightened around the hilt of the Sakura blade, her knuckles going pale beneath the pressure. She could feel the weight of the world resting upon her shoulders, the destiny of countless lives hanging in the balance. This was the pinnacle of her journey, a fight of wills and forces that would define the future. The warlord's voice echoed over the battlefield, full with hatred and arrogance. "So, you dare to challenge me, Haruka? A simple mortal with a borrowed power. That amuses me." Haruka's gaze met his, her eyes glowing with a ferocious purpose. "I may be a mortal, but I fight for justice and the protection of those who cannot defend themselves. It is a power considerably greater than any you hold." The warlord's henchmen crowded around Haruka, their eyes blazing with hate. Yet she maintained her ground, her presence projecting an air of immovable might. She knew she couldn't allow uncertainty cloud her thinking now. She had gone too far, experienced too much, to waver in the face of adversity. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Haruka surged into action, her motions a ballet of precision and elegance. She evaded the blows of her opponents with skill and grace, each strike of her sword a tribute to her unyielding resolve. Her training under the wise old sensei had sharpened her talents, but it was her indomitable spirit that propelled her every move. As the conflict raged on, the crash of steel and the shouts of warriors rang through the air. Haruka's determination strengthened with each passing instant, her focus unshakable. She had learnt from the betrayal of her close partner, learning that genuine power resided not merely in physical skill, but in the relationships of devotion and trust she had formed along her path. Suddenly, the warlord's voice pierced through the tumult, a nasty smile tainting his words. "Your efforts are infutile, Haruka. The Sakura blade is mine for the taking. If I get it, there will be no force in this planet that can stand against me." Haruka's heart hammered in her chest as she pushed herself past her limitations. She knew the warlord's remarks had a glimmer of truth, his hunger for power was unquenchable. Yet she refused to let sorrow engulf her. She had observed the strength of love, camaraderie, and sacrifice during her trip, and she trusted in the potential of these intangible relationships to fight even the darkest of forces. With a rush of determination, Haruka flung herself towards the warlord, their blades colliding with a thunderous impact. The hit resonated through her body, but she stayed solid, her hold immovable. She harnessed the energy of the Sakura blade, felt its ancient strength running through her veins, mingling with her own. At a moment of clarity, Haruka witnessed the possibility of her actions, the capacity to bring about a new world, free from the warlord's oppression. She battled not only for herself, but for all others who had suffered during his tyranny. Their conflict continued, a symphony of steel and willpower, each attack and parry a monument to their unrelenting will. The world around them faded into insignificance as they got involved in a war of light against darkness. And in the end, it was Haruka who emerged triumphant. With a last attack, she broke the warlord's blade and brought him to his knees. Yet instead of delivering the deadly blow, she extended a hand to pull him up, offering him a chance at forgiveness and a fresh route forward. And at that moment, Haruka proved that genuine power rests not in possession or dominance, but in the ability to choose compassion and forgiveness. Thank you for joining us on this mesmerizing adventure through Rise of the Sakura Blade on Midnight Murmurs. We hope you enjoyed this enchanting sleep story and found solace in its soothing embrace. If you're hungry for more captivating tales to guide you into peaceful dreams, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of bedtime bliss. Let Midnight Murmurs be your trusted companion as we embark on an incredible 18-book sleep story series together. Until we meet again, sleep tight and let your imagination soar. Good night, dreamers.